Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, it is my most favorite time of the year. It's Christmas time. It's coming up on us real fast, and it's reminding me of a time when I worked for law enforcement here in Arkansas. Every year we did something called Shop with a Cop. It's where local businesses donated money to El Dorado Police Department, and we would divide it up amongst kids from schools anywhere in Union County, and the kids would get to spend anywhere between $150 to $200. This was for lower income kids that may not get a halfway decent Christmas. No fault of their own. It was, just normal circumstances. A lot of these kids, their mom and dads were in jail. And I absolutely love doing this. Just like I love playing Santa Claus. I love this time of year. I love doing this. The rules were, no guns, no weapons, no airsoft, no PlayStation 3, Xbox, whatever. And they had to buy something for their family. The first year is what got me hooked. Kids were coming off the buses, and I was kind of standing in the back, standing to myself. And the last one off was this young black woman, girl. I quickly found out she mentally was slow. She had a note pinned to her shirt. Later, I found out the note was telling me the sizes of her clothing and some things she needed at home. I later found out that her mom and dad were in prison, and she was living with her grandma and grandpa that just adored her. Never did get her name. But she gets off the bus and she is freezing. It is high 30s, low 40s. I had on my sheriff's office jacket, so I took it off. I'm a big fluffy guy. I am built for this weather. So I take my jacket off and put it on her. That way she could warm up. And of course, she was all of about that big around, probably third or fourth grade. And it engulfed her and was dragging on the ground. But evidently that was kind of our breaking point where she started talking to me. Because in the beginning, she wouldn't really speak. And I told her, I was like, okay, we got to get something for mom and dad. You want to buy something for mom and dad? We got mom this wonderful perfume. And I later found out mom and dad were grandma and grandpa. This is all she'd ever known. She was mentally challenged due to mom's drug addiction during her pregnancy. She proceeded to buy for what she called her brothers and sisters, and they were cousins or true brothers and sisters. And she was blowing through this money left and right. And she just thought it was the world's greatest thing. This year, she got to buy for her brothers and sisters she was getting to pick out. And I had to slow her down and get her to actually get something for herself. And so we got her some shirts, something nice and warm, some pants, and a pair of shoes. And I said, we really need toys. Santa's got to bring you some toys. Well, we got shopping cart loaded. And we're headed to check out. Now, at this point in time, Monsters, Inc. had come out. One of the greatest Disney movies ever. I loved it. And we're passing by this big stuffed Scully. I loved it. I wanted one for myself. I love Monsters, Inc. It is a great Disney movie. She latched onto it. But we had already spent all our money I just moved here, started in law enforcement. Money was tight. I was willing to put in the extra money, but I didn't have it. We go ahead and check out, and oh, she was very particular, and she picked out all the wrapping paper, and I want my Bubby to have this, I want Mama to have this, and she picked out all the ribbons and bows. They wrapped them up. We went and got some pizza and soda, watched a Christmas movie in the break room while other law enforcement officers were wrapping the presents. And when it was time, I wasn't certified to drive her home. So another officer had to take her home, and her whole load, which took up just about the entire trunk of the car. This kid was going to have a spectacular Christmas. She touched me, and I couldn't quite figure out why she got to me so much, and it took until the next day. She was skinny and buck-toothed, and I later realized she was a little black version of one of my daughters, Chelsea, when she was that age. Skinny as the day is long, couldn't get an ounce of weight on her, could eat her weight in pizza, and love to give gifts almost as much as she liked getting them. I don't know why, but I wrote down her name and her address. I wanted to check in on her later on my own. Well, the next day I stopped by work, and I had no clue. We got a Christmas bonus that year. I was happy, and I gave my wife a ride to work that day and that afternoon, and I was due to go back and pick her up, and I went back to Walmart. And I had seen a lot of those Scullies in carts, and they were limited. I just knew I wasn't going to find one. Lo and behold, as I'm walking around, thinking about buying my kids and grandkids Christmas, I look behind some boxes on a shelf over in hardware or something, in an area shouldn't even been in. And I moved the box out of the way, and I saw this Scully doll. I snatched it up. Even though I wanted it, and now I had the money for it, I knew somebody that wanted it more. And I bought it for that little girl. Put it in a bag, went and picked up my wife, or at that time, girlfriend. And I said, I need you to go with me. And I drove, and I found the house, and I knocked on the door, and Grandma and Grandpa come up, and fortunately, the little girl was still at school. Hi, y'all don't know me. I'm in a black neighborhood here, standing a black man and woman, very nice dressed. But I am, at this time, Sergeant Pendleton in Union County Sheriff's Office. I did shop with a cop with your little girl, and I gave her a name. Oh, she's not our little girl, she's a granddaughter. And they proceeded to explain, come in. And I started to explain all the presents they got the day before. I was bragging on her, talking about how she wanted to shop for everybody else. I had to force her to buy stuff for herself. And I explained about Scully, and I said, I didn't have the money at the time. They're like, oh, that's okay. I said, well, I got a bonus today. I happened to stop by work, and I got a bonus. I went by, and I happened to find the last Scully doll in the entire store. And here it is. They wanted my name and everything, and they had already forgotten what I had told them. They wanted to tell her who it was from. I said, y'all just tell her it's from the big fat man, Santa Claus. I do dress up as Santa Claus sometimes for charity events. They told me they were going to put me in their prayers and everything, and I knew I had done something really good that year. Well, later, and I mean some years later, probably 2, I ran into them, and they happened to recognize me. I mean, come on. I'm a little distinctive, don't you know? And they said, she doesn't remember you at all. She really believes Santa Claus gave her this. and she takes it everywhere with her. It goes to school, it goes to bed, it goes to church. It was her favorite toy she got that year. She takes baths with it. We have to sneak it away from her and wash it at night when she gets food spilled on it. We wash it in the washing machine or go get it dry clean. It takes baths with her. We have to put it in a clear plastic bag, and she says it has to have a straw in there to where Scully can breathe. At this point in time, it had been 2 full years. She goes, she's worn fur off of it. She talks to it. That present really brought her out of her shell, and she started maturing and turning into a young woman. And they said something about this, and as they put it, Santa Claus, knowing she wanted that and gave it to her, changed a lot about her. That's been close to 15 years. She's a grown woman now. I have no idea how to get in contact or anything. But she still has an effect on me. I think about her every year. Make a difference. Merry Christmas.